What's good, y'all, and welcome to another video. From Ashes to Ashen, Moradin, the Wraithborn rider boss, is out, and you want to know how to beat it. In this one, we'll be just going over the Nightmare difficulty and how you can manage to get the full score. So that means 6 ancient shards a day as well as 450 coins. Our current high score is 387 million. For those of you wondering, what are these ugly lines? Why does it look like that? Apparently a couple of the test server access people have been leaking information left and right, and now the developers decided to put a stop to that. So now we have these beautiful watermarks screwing every one of us. Don't you love to see it? So what we're going to do first is we first go into the stage. I briefly explain all the abilities, everything that's happening, so you at least know what you're dealing with. And then we go into a run, and I'll be obviously trying to coach you through it. So let's actually move ourselves again over here so we aren't in the way of the ultimates. And let's have a look. So overall, these guys are very, very weak, okay? These guys are very weak, and they don't need like a dedicated AoE unit, or they like to take care of them. They can pretty much be beaten by just other single target units, or even just a fighter on the ground. They also don't hit hard. Moradin we'll get to later. These archers, they also don't tend to hit that hard, but they do deal range damage, which means you kind of want to make sure that every single one of your units is at least getting healing from somewhere. Then we have the mages. The mages, they start at the top and then go down. They aren't really all that much of a bother with the way we're playing this fight. So they're kind of like, again, just allies that come in and don't do a whole lot. These guys who are looking at the crotch section for whatever reason, soul split. So for them, they'll also just pretty much resolve themselves. And these guys, they are a little bit more dangerous. But that is why we will be building more HP on our units. But now to the main guy, Moradin, the Wraithborn rider. What does he do, and how do you whoop his ass? So, Shadow Leap. After every 3 basic attacks, Moradin dashes forward and deals high physical damage to units along the path. That is alright. Nether Strikes. Moradin stops attacking and throws his weapon at the tile with the most adjacent heroes on the map, dealing AoE damage before retrieving the weapon. This is where one of 2 heroes come in, and that is you need a Narissa or a Fercy, so you can reduce the AoE damage you're going to be receiving, as well as also you need to build around 40,000 HP on like the slot or the point where he dedicates to throw his weapon. So building HP substats on your gear is heavily advised in making sure that you don't lose anything against this Nether Strike. Then we have the Dark Ruse, where Moradin leaps to the last deploying Cloud hero on the map, makes them airborne, deals high single target damage, and then jumps back to his original position. So bringing a hero that is a bit more on the tanky side, again with a bit more HP subsets and the like, is advised. And for that we'll be using Volker, and we have you could say an emergency Toreador in case that a Volker dies through that attack. But we also have a Lily to make sure that even if Volker were to get one shot, she can at least stop from getting one shot once. And we might even have to give her a bit more HP. I'm not quite sure if we have a build with all that much HP at the moment. Deathly Aura, so you also need, again, healing on every single slot, because he does AoE damage around himself. So if a unit doesn't get healing at some point, they'll just die just by him walking past. Then Artistful Riposte. When not blocked, Moradin greatly increases defense and magic res, as well as also increasing his own attack and movement speed. That is another reason why you need the pretty much around 40k HP mark, and that is, I haven't found a reasonable way to stop the guy from getting to 40 stacks. So he will get to 40 stacks, he will use his attacks at 40 stack attack, and that's why having a Narissa / Fercy, as well as also then the extra HP, is so important. Otherwise he's just going to kill your units. And yeah, that is pretty much the whole. And then also, let's see, it's not quite here, but yeah, this one, right? The Shadow Leap. After every 3 basic attacks, he dashes forward. It actually moves him past a blocker, which is why we'll have to be running 2 blockers in the middle to stop him. So not only can we then reduce the increased defense and reduced magic damage taken, but we can also obviously hit him with the units we're placing down. So, alright, now that we're all familiar enough with the moveset, let's actually get into the fight itself. And for that one, we'll be opening it up with Kigiri in the middle right here, but facing backwards. Moradin pretty much runs around this map in this kind of circle right here, and then he will attack Kigiri's back, and Kigiri can ult backwards, but once Moradin moves past Kigiri, Kigiri wouldn't be able to attack him again if we were to face him in this direction, which is why we're facing him the other way. Also with Wukong, we're kind of doing the reverse, because Wukong with his 3 range will be able to attack while Kigiri is the one blocking, as well as also when Moradin moves 1 tile forward into Wukong. And there's another benefit, and that is Wukong will be summoning his clones, and those clones will help us keep Moradin in this middle spot here longer. So then next up we bring in our AoE damage reduction, as well as also Araka. Araka is pretty much just here because she fits Hex as well as Lily, and she's also a ground unit. So it's I guess you could say kind of hard to replace Araka for this specific strategy, but the real base components you need is the Wukong and Kigiri as well as AoE damage reduction, and the rest around that you can get a little bit or quite a lot more flexible with what you do need in that situation. And yeah, just what we want to make sure is that we place Volker after we've placed Wukong and Kigiri, because of the last place ground unit getting like that big single target stab. And we also have our Volker in quite a lot of HP percentage, just so she stands a better chance at surviving the whole shenanigan. Then we also have a Beelzebub. Beelzebub is here for us to be providing invigoration to Wukong and Kigiri. You can definitely do it without and just replace him with a damage dealer, but we are using Beelzebub here, so if you have him, you can definitely use him. Then we also have a Hex. Hex here with the increased range will be able to hit the whole duration of Moradin being in here, which works quite well, and he'll also obviously get the inspiration boost from Mr. Beelzebub. Torador is kind of there as like a, you could almost say, safety net, and that is if Volker does actually die against Moradin with him pulling out some disgusting move, then we at least have someone else to be swapped back in, as well as also obviously the Nightmare faction bonus. That is still pretty much one of, if not the strongest faction bonus in the game. To finish this whole shenanigan off, we're going to be going with the Lily. So Lily will then be also able to provide a potential revive for our Volker if necessary. And then here for our first push, we want to use all our DPS ultimates in conjunction with the invigoration boost from Mr. Beelzebub, as well as also work towards getting that permanent Araka ult, because why not? It's been a while since anybody ever used Araka for anything serious, so we might as well have some fun with the exclusive artifact. And yeah, let them do their work. So what you see here is obviously him. So there's technically 2 outcomes. Like sometimes he jumps between Wukong and Kigiri, sometimes he just jumps past Wukong and Kigiri next to Wukong. So it depends a bit on clone luck. The better your clone luck with the Wukong clones, the longer he'll stay in the middle. So he either does 1 jump past Kigiri and then 1 jump past Wukong, or he just does 1 jump here and then he's already gone. So it's a bit of a luck-based scenario on if a Wukong clone is alive at the time of him actually making the jump. But even if the guy just instantly passes, you'll still be able to get the job done. So here you see we don't really have a chance with our formation to interact with him, and also this tile right here is blocked anyway, so the only time we could stop him would be somewhere up here. And I played around with a lot of strategies. I tried using like a Decimus to reset his stacks, but that was also very, very unreliable anyway. So the best thing I could come up with is just make sure nobody dies, right? Like just build a formation in which even if he gets to 40 stacks, there is no way you're going to lose someone. And that is exactly what we're doing right here. So this time you see how he's hopefully going to be swapping his targeting over to a Wukong clone, because that is also a key part of how we were able to do 380 million damage. You see how he's now attacking the Wukong clone. That didn't happen the last time. So now he's actually hopefully doing a jump that is like less far than the last time, which should allow us to keep him in the middle longer. And if he stays in the middle longer, see how he's now like between them, and then there's going to be an additional jump. Like it's not in Volker's range, so it's a bit of an RNG fest there, but it allows you to keep him in range longer. It allows you to do more damage, and it just keeps it easier, as well as also stopping him from gaining any stacks, because he's still going to get blocked. But I gotta be honest with you, I'm super happy with Araka. Super happy with Araka actually doing something. And also another beautiful part is if he actually jumps 3 times, you can do 2 damage rotations, which includes overall a grand total of 3 Kigiri ults, 3 Wukong ults, and 2 Beelzebub ults, as well as 1 Volker ult. So it's a bunch of ults, it's a bunch of damage, and yeah, it is definitely quite helpful in racking up that score. So we are already getting closer to the 200 million, 240 is all you need to hit. So I'll obviously be showing you the gear at the end, and keep in mind, I've been sitting here for, what is this, maybe 5 to 6 hours already. So I rather went with better than worse gear, but just based on the score numbers alone, as long as your team survives, and as long as you can hit the 240, you'll get the full score. There's no need for you to have exactly the same amount of gear or even the same amount of awakenings, because we are using A5 Kigiri and A5 Wukong, though they won't be as necessary. Alright, let's see if we can once more keep him in the middle longer. But yeah, you can kind of see how like it's a lot of overwhelming things happening for your senses, but to a degree, nothing truly happens, if you get what I mean. Like, there's a lot of minions coming in, there's a lot of different enemies, there's these marksmen, there's these guys with the big hammer, there's the slashes, there's the teleports, there's the jumps, but at the core of it, you just want to keep him in the middle, keep him in your kill box, and then just use your ultimates and do big numbers. That is really what it all comes down to. And for example, for us, we could have gotten a greater return if the very first rotation actually would have turned out to be a 3 rotation too. But you see, again, this time we were able to pull off another full combo, if you want to call it that. And yeah, obviously Narissa ult activating is kind of stupid, right? No real point in doing so. But yeah, I guess we did it anyway. And yeah, we might get one more rotation in, but yeah, that's pretty much already it, right? That is pretty much already it. And yeah, replacement wise, I don't really think you can do much. Like, you can probably replace Kigiri with another fighter if you wanted to, but Wukong's ability to keep him in the in this middle kill square longer is just kind of unique. Hex obviously can be replaced with any other like marksman based damage dealer, but the focus here is also that you can get the additional range right here. You could try playing around with some other placements and the like, as well as also trying to potentially bring someone else in instead of a Beelzebub, but it does feel kind of fixed, at least for this yeah, I don't even want to call it a strategy, but it is a strategy at the end of the day that we were able to come up with. So yeah, 311. You can see we lost the Narissa. I think we triggered Narissa's ult, right? So yeah, it is really important that you make sure you have enough HP on your units, because losing your units is obviously then going to pretty much crush everything. Though for now at least we are still somewhat fine. And that's also another benefit of just running Volker, because you get the extra healing on Kigiri, the extra healing on Wukong with them just attacking. So yeah, there you go. I hope this helps you out to some degree, or at the very least gave you an idea on how to deal with this stage. And yeah, let's briefly go through the gear, just because you're probably all decently curious about it. And yeah, you can turn back the gear, but it's really Kigiri Wukong heavy. That's just the way it is. So let's once more hop into the stage, do gearing as the last part, and then call it there. So Torador, we didn't even use him, but we had him in a potential tank set should he become necessary. Kigiri, yeah, you can see it, right? This is an A5 Kigiri. We also have him in this 25 exclusive, as well as 4-stat left side gear. obviously can be reduced there, just won't be able to hit like the 370, 400 million. Keep in mind, this strategy isn't perfect. There might be a better strategy out there somewhere, but yeah, you can see we have like 1%, one piece of HP percentage. The other, we were able to get away with attack because of Kigiri also like restoring HP with his basic attacks. For Wukong, on the other hand, you can see us having 1 piece of HP, 2 pieces of HP actually, as well as then 4 stats. This one's actually, I mean, it still comes over 100% crit, right? And then we also have the golden Kajal with an attack percent bonus upgrade, but that one is, at least luckily enough, rather minor. Then Volker, we have an Infernal Roar set with full HP percent substats. You can also just give her probably 1 HP percent main stat. It's not like Volker does a whole bunch. Just make sure that she doesn't die so that he doesn't start targeting Wukong and Kigiri. And then we have Beelzebub in pretty much a, yeah, very traditional buffer setup. So attack flat, attack flat, attack flat, attack, and then attack with attack flat, as well as some extra attack speed, and his Carrion's Call, which you could obviously also just replace. Then we have ourselves our Araka. So Araka in HP with 4 set left side gear, which you obviously don't need. It's not like Araka played a role. You can heavily turn down on the gear right there. Hex was actually rather tame in his gear. So just pretty standard attack percent with 3 stats, attack percent, crit damage with 3 stats, attack percent with 1 perfect stat, and then attack percent, crit rate, crit damage, attack rate, crit damage. So if you have more Hex Awakenings, if you have better gear there, you can obviously slack on the gear of your Wukong and Kigiri. Silas, we didn't even use him, right? So you can just take him out of the squad if you need this extra spot for anything. The spot is there. Nerissa in around 30,000 HP, around 100% attack, 240 attack speed, some healing effect, some rage regen, and the Tires Bomb, so she at least can try to keep everybody alive. And then lastly, we have Lily in around 20,000 HP, relatively high attack speed at 430, some extra healing effect, and a bunch of rage regen, which isn't all that necessary. Peace!